We're on. We're streaming. Good. Hey, top of the evening, everybody. Chris McDonald, Tuesday night. Welcome back, Facebook. Welcome back, X. Welcome back, Rumble. We got the technical glitches worked out, we think. Watch this whole thing blow up on me. Boom! The second I say that. I brought the cowboy. Somebody asked me about the bear hat last night, and I did not ignore that. I've got the bear hat with me. And if you're good, I will break out the bear hat for the first time in almost a year and a half in 2025 this week. I've got it. It's a little short. I think I brought the kids one, but it'll look like I skin a cat and put it on top of my head. But I will wear the bear hat just for you, my McFiles faithful And refugee camp. All you refugees out there, y'all can come back. I don't know why you think you're a refugee, for God's sake. We don't make refugees a people. We're grateful to see everybody. And Dan, you're a little late to the show, sir. We're getting ready. We're just getting started, Dan. We'll talk about the JFK files tonight. We have no idea what there's in those files yet. There's one thing that we've seen, but we'll talk about that tonight. JFK's a story. We've got Russia, Ukraine, maybe on the verge of peace. We'll see about that. I'm not sure if that's going to happen, but Trump's got them at least talking. Tonight is the 100th anniversary of the deadliest tornado in the history of America, the tri-state tornado. We're going to look at that a little bit tonight. We've got some video to show you. Some things going on in Congress today, and these judges, I tell you, these judges are getting out of hand. They have filed an injunction tonight that the USAID cannot be dismantled. They filed another one late this evening that the transgender military ban is unconstitutional, which it's not. Pete Hegseth can put out who he wants to have in his military and who he don't. He's the Department of Defense head. And these judges, folks, I don't know where it's going to stop. I know that John Roberts, we talked about it on our radio show this afternoon, and Roberts has got his pants in a wad. It's pathetic to me how he was silent with all of these lawfare cases against Trump with Fani Willis, Alvin Bragg, Letitia James. He never one time stood up and said these cases are crap and the lawfare against the president. And he says tonight that impeaching a judiciary member because you don't like the ruling is inappropriate. Well, John, let me ask you something, sir, and I use that in quotations, is impeaching the executive branch because you don't like something the executive branch does. Is that inappropriate to you? Probably not. Because that's what the freaking Democrats did twice to Trump during the first term. And if they ever get a hold of that House, you know and I know tonight, they're going to do it a third time if they can do it. That's why elections matter, and that's why we need to be on guard and ready to vote in just another year and 9 months now. It seems like we vote every time we turn around. But we need to keep that House Republican, and we need to keep that Senate Republican. Democrats have an approval rating of 21%. And the way I look at that is let them destroy themselves. Do not get in their way. Let them destroy themselves. Chucky Schmucky was out there making fun of people, just calling it greed because you don't want high taxes and the government telling you what to do with your money. That's Chuck Schumer for you. And that's why he had to cancel his book tour, because his own party can't stand him. That's got to be the most idiotic, asinine thing you've ever heard in my life. If you're greedy because you don't want the government messing with your money, that's ridiculous. But that's the Dems for you. That's why they got an approval rating of less than Hitler, 21%. Anyway, we got some funny stuff, some serious stuff tonight. Let's get right to it, shall we? Let's go to the newswire. Israel news tonight, too, as well. We're so grateful to have everybody on this Tuesday night. Hopefully, prayerfully, things will go right. And we are going to try to get right to it. First thing, out of the bat, let's go to the newswire page. And a federal judge, we talked about this just now, has ordered the halt to Doge, the Doge shutdown of USAID. You got to love this bunch. Musk and Doge dismantlement of the USAID, they claim Judge Theodore Chang. He's a Chang, all right. Likely violated the U.S. Constitution, he says, in multiple ways. He issued his ruling just this afternoon. In response to a lawsuit that's being brought by current and former employees and contractors challenging the legal authority of the billionaire to slash federal spending jobs. That's where they're making the mistake. First of all, let me say something about that, folks. Doge is a government agency of efficiency. He's suggesting it to the president. The president ultimately has to sign off on this. It ain't Elon Musk doing it. It's Donald Trump. So if they want to go down this road, I guess the executive branch can fight this. Look, I have a lot of faith in Pam Bondi. I know a lot of people out there getting a little feathers in the wad because Pam ain't waving the wand and parting the Red Sea. She's standing up to this rogue judge, this Obama judge, telling him to pound sand, basically. Did you realize, you know, we talked about a lot of this. I encourage you, by the way, kstartalkradio.com. Now, you don't get to see the cowboy hat. You don't get to see the bear hat. But you hear this Southern drawl on the radio, 2 to 3 every day. Of course, today we started 7 minutes late because Chris couldn't get his mic to work. So it's still the McFiles over there, but it's the Mac News and Journal Report over there. I drive Angelina Orsini crazy. She says, you always call your show the McFiles in the afternoon. It's not the McFiles. It's the Mac News and Journal Report. Your McFiles program is on at night. So we're trying to get used to that. I should have just called it the McFiles Afternoon Report or something. I don't know. But anyway, join me. We were talking about this today, that this stupid judge, I could use another word, but I'll just use that word, not to get in hock with people that say I need to be nice. I'm just in a jolly good mood now. I got my channel straightened out here. I was a little worried last night. I wasn't sure I was going to see you Facebook folks again for 6 months. But seriously, no. The flight of these Venezuelan gang members, they were literally in the air, landing in El Salvador. And he said, you got to turn the plane around and bring the gangs back to America. How insane is that? That's what this judge was doing. And he's telling Pam Bondi tonight, I want to get all the sensitive information that you've got and the FBI's got on how you arrested these people. And the DOJ is telling them to go stick it up your keister. And I'm glad she is. And, you know, when the Democrats do it, it's resisting tyranny. When the Republicans do it, they need to be all thrown in jail, according to the Dems and the left. So, pound sand. Merrick Garland never, you know, Merrick Garland was held into contempt of Congress 100 times. They never did a thing to him. I wouldn't worry about it. I tell this judge, and there's stuff we got on the judge tonight, by the way. Him and Roberts seem to be cozy. So maybe that's why Roberts was out there running his freaking mouth today instead of shutting up and sticking to voting with the Dems on the court and being a butthole about it. I could use another word about that. He burns me up. He just burns me up. But he basically takes the side of these rogue judges and the judiciary stopping the progress of what Trump's trying to do, and that's clean this country up. And he's basically putting the American people in the crosshairs of these gangs and these cartels. Because this judge is telling the Trump administration, you got to go get him in Venezuela and bring him back. That's crap. Pound sand, dude. Pound sand. And enjoy the prison that you need to be in with your daughter. And I'll get to that in a minute. But this judge here's another one. This is Chang. We'll see how this plays out. But this judicial tyranny is really getting bad. The other story tonight, big deal. This is John Solomon. This is a great website, justthenews.com. Big phone call today. We're going to get to the JFK stuff in a minute. We will take your questions later, folks. Russian Vladimir Putin, President Donald Trump discussed the implementation this afternoon of an energy and infrastructure ceasefire and to begin negotiations on the implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the ongoing war in Ukraine. Quote, the conflict should never have started and should have ended long ago with sincere and good faith peace efforts, a readout of the call stated. These were the words between the two leaders. The leaders agreed that the movement to peace will begin with an energy and infrastructure ceasefire as well as technical negotiations on implementation of a maritime ceasefire in the Black Sea. Full ceasefire and permanent peace. These negotiations will begin immediately in the Middle East. Now, Putin agreed in principle. We'll see how this plays out. Sorry for that's how that's how we feel. That's how most people in America feel tonight, watching this stuff go on. An appropriate commercial. What happens when you take a shot of olive oil before bed? Lord have mercy, that looked like olive oil to me. I'm just saying. But anyway, these ads on these websites blow me away. I just have to laugh at them. But this video is about 2 minutes long. Let's see what Barry Loudermilk has to say. Congressman from Georgia, my state. Here's John Solomon with him.
I know what part. So answer. I understand the FBI may have turned over some documents recently to the judicial community.
Well, actually, I thought that video was about Ukraine. Probably should listen to these before I play them. You would think that they would put the video on the page of the story, but that's a different video. We'll play that down the road. But let's pray, folks. Seriously, all jokes aside tonight about this. Listen, that war has killed 1 million people on both sides. I'm serious. Close to 1 million people. 750,000 people. I mean, it has been a brutal 3 years. And, you know, we were talking about this afternoon or yesterday on the radio show. You know, the Rwanda genocide that took place in 1994. And I was in Burundi just 3 months after that, sitting on a tarmac listening to these horror stories. I was on a missions trip then. And I see the same thing happen in Syria when the world stands silent in the face of this. And the United States was nowhere to be found with any kind of effort to stop this war for 3 years. We made Putin out to be the bad guy. We got extorted by Zelensky for hundreds of billions of dollars, $300 billion to be frank with you, about the total. And we made no effort to stop this bloodshed, none. It's on us. And at least President Trump has got them talking. I don't know if this is going to work. I don't know if Putin's going to do the right thing. I don't know if Zelensky's going to do the right thing. But at least they're talking. At least they're talking. And all I can say is let's hope for the best, prepare for the worst. But I will tell you this, we don't need to be sending any more money over there. And we sure as, you know what, don't need to be sending treasure. And I mean our boys and our girls over there to fight a stupid war that should have never happened. Just because this government before President Trump was being run on auto pen. And I'll leave it at that. But this is good news tonight. At least a ray of hope. We'll see. We'll see what happens. This was yesterday. Forgot to mention this. Miss Fani Willis got her fanny handed to her. She was ordered to pay big money for intentionally violating open records laws in a bogus RICO case against Trump. $54,000 was what she was ordered to pay in attorney fees for intentionally violating open records laws in her bogus case against Trump. Fulton County Superior Court Judge Rachel Krause, yay for Rachel, ordered Fani Willis to pay legal fees for failing to provide requested records to the plaintiff's lawyer, Ashley Merchant. The judge said Fani Willis failed to provide records related to Nathan Wade, her lover, which the special prosecutor she hired to hunt down Trump. Fani Willis had an illicit affair with Wade, the top prosecutor she hired to hunt down Trump in her RICO and conspiracy case against former president. At the time, at least. Nathan Wade was paid more than $800,000 as a special prosecutor while he was wining and dining. I'm sorry. I can't read without my glasses. Better put my glasses on. Wining and dining Fani Willis and paying for lavish vacations for them. Wow, with $800,000, goodness gracious. Defendants, this is Marchant's words, Merchant, through the open records custodian Dexter Bond, were openly hostile to counsel for plaintiff Miss Merchant and testified that Miss Merchant's requests were handled differently. This is Krause, I should say. Differently than other requests, and good for them. Good for them. Fani Willis needs to be in jail. I'm just going to be frank with you. That's another rogue lawyer. My dear buddy, Juanita Broderick, we hadn't even talked about the swatting that's going on. We're going to have Leslie Milwee on. And I meant to say, apologize for Brad Johnson tonight. He got called in a business call at home, and he just could not get on our show tonight. He was coming tonight. We got a jam up Thursday night, and it's free ice cream cone day at Dairy Queen. So all you ice cream people, go get your vanilla ice cream cone from Dairy Queen. Chris is going to get his, because I like that Dairy Queen ice cream. But do not order milkshakes and ice cream from McDonald's, because that machine will be broken Thursday. So just go get your free one from Dairy Queen. All right, now. Swatting. I'm going to deal with my situation Thursday night. I got swatted in 2019. It was a very horrible experience and one I hope I never have to go through again. My dear friend Juanita Broderick, who has been on our show, she's not doing interviews right now. We've asked her ask her again and again to come on whenever she can, and she just says, Chris, I can't do any interviews right now, and there's reasons for that. I don't want to get into those. But she and Leslie have been talking. Leslie and her are really good friends. And last night, she got swatted for the second time in 3 days. First time, it seemed like the pizza boy showed up at her house, and she had not ordered pizza. I've never known it take 3 people to bring a pizza to you. But anyway, she didn't open the door, and she called the police. And then last night, I'll show you the story, and I'll read it to you. And you got to know Juanita. She says, this blank needs to stop. That's about an understatement. But this is the article out of Gateway Pundit tonight. We're going to talk with Leslie Milwee about it because she has sort of the inside story what Juanita went through. But for those unfamiliar, swatting is a criminal act where bad actors call in false emergency reports, often claiming violent crimes like murders or hostage situations are going on to provoke an armed police response at a targeted individual's home. That's what happened to me. The results can be catastrophic, with innocent people being placed in imminent danger as law enforcement officers, unaware of the hoax, arrive prepared, often in large numbers and heavily armed to engage a violent suspect, which really is not violent. During the initial moments when police are trying to assess the threat level, tragedy can strike. The latest victim is Juanita Broderick, who shared a video of the incident on X. She wrote, well, I just got swatted. About 10 police and SWAT teams showed up. They said the caller said there were 2 masked men and people inside had been shot. This blank needs to stop. This is Juanita, my dear buddy. Roll the tape. I don't think you got sound on this. Yeah, she didn't put the sound on her thing, but there's the police. 10 police and 2 SWAT people. She was lucky. There's one of the police officers. Sean Faresh and his wife, a Trump impersonator, they were victims of a swatting attack in their home in Tennessee, just west of me, on Thursday night of last week. Law enforcement officers were dispatched to their residence after receiving a false report of a double homicide and an alleged plot for suicide by cops. Same, almost exact thing that happened to me in 2019. Influencer Cat Turd, who's a great ex-poster, and Gunther's brother Mike were also swatted. This marks the 4th time Cat Turd has been a victim of this left-wing terrorism. Matt Van Swal, his wife, and their young children were in bed when armed police arrived at 2 a.m. responding to a swatting call. And honestly, what Jim Hoyt asked here, the writer of this, is very serious. How long will this go before someone is seriously hurt? Now, Kash Patel chimed in on this today, and this was his quote, I want to address the alarming rise in swatting incidents targeting media figures. He wrote on X, the FBI is aware of this dangerous trend, and my team and I are already taking action to investigate and hold these responsible accountable. This isn't about politics. Weaponizing law enforcement agencies and enforcement against any American is not only morally reprehensible, but it also endangers lives, including those of our officers. This will not be tolerated. We are fully committed to working with local law enforcement to crack down on these crimes, and I believe he will do that. Margaret Flavin was the one that wrote that article there. But my dear buddy, Juanita, I wish we could get her on the phone. I'm sure she would give you a play-by-play. She is the female James R. I would have to hide the kids. I love Juanita. I'd have to hide the kids. Because Juanita's version of it would be a lot more exciting than mine was. I can just hear her now. But she wasn't too happy about it, folks. I wouldn't be too happy either. Look, this is a growing trend. It's 4 we've had just in the last week. And we're in the transition of getting to the P.O. box. I wouldn't no more give my home address out. If I get my home address out to you, you're either Jesus or you're a family member, because I ain't giving it out. And I still, to this day, don't know how the people got my home address in 2019, but they did. And it was pretty bizarre, and we'll talk about it Thursday night with Leslie, but it's something that's going on, and if you out there have ever been swatted, you know it ain't a pleasant experience, and it's not good. Not good, not good, not good, but it's happening. It is happening. All righty, now let's go back to our newswire. I got a couple of other stories I want to talk about tonight. Tampon Tim, Mr. Tampon Tim, don't he just look like a winner? Oh, I could say something. He tells all you Trump supporters, all of us, that I think I could kick most of their blanks, their arses. I'll say the word in a British way instead of what he said. He's such a jerk. And he's the one that the Democrats are betting on in 2028. How do we win voters back? Tim says by doing this. He is such a jerk. Tampon Tim, you can't even decide which bathroom you use. You've got your state question how many genders there are. You look like an idiot. You sound like an idiot. You're a moron. You and your head, Kamala Harris, got trounced. Good freaking grief. Bring it on. Come on. Come on, anytime. Anytime. This is the left. And this is why the Democrat Party has a 21% approval rating in the country tonight. They think it's not about the policies. They think it's because we don't embrace woke, DEI, transgender militarism. And that if they will come out here and convince you, he's going down to Florida to do a town hall. You folks in Florida be looking out for that. Let Tim know how you feel about his mega comment. Just a thought. Just a thought. Just a thought. Tampon Tim. Tampon Tim. Alrighty. Let's see here. Another story that we got. And folks, I can't help the sound on these videos. All right. IDF eliminates the head of Hamas. A big story coming out of Israel tonight. All the Hamas leadership has been eliminated by Israel. Here is the picture of Hamas. This is the Shalom goodbye crowd. You know, Trump said basically Shalom means goodbye and hello at the same time. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, hey, hey. Goodbye. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Shalom. Goodbye. I can hear all the Jewish people saying, that's great, Chris. The IDF confirmed 2 days ago that it had eliminated 4 out of the 6. And that 5 now, most senior Hamas officials, including the head of the government, Issam al-Dalis. The other 3 who were killed were identified as Mahmoud Abu Wafa, Director General of Hamas's Interior, Bajat Abu Sultan, Operational Chief of Hamas's Internal Security, and Hamas's Justice Minister Ahad Omar al-Hatta. I think I pronounced those names pretty good. Tried to, got them close. It is possible, they believe, that all 6 were eliminated, but the fate of 2 others, at least 1 other, has not been confirmed. And basically the IDF stated pretty much the IDF will continue to operate against Hamas, terrorist organization, and remove any threat to the state of Israel, as they should. As they should. We got some video about this tonight because there are people out there that's upset that Israel's doing that. We've got people out there telling us that that is oppression. That for Israel to go out and kill terrorists is bad. I got a hat coming. I got a hat, ordered a hat. that says, do I need to explain this in Crown? I'm going to wear that on my show. I'm just all about them hats, ain't I? I need to explain this in Crown. Terrorists are bad. Terrorists are here to kill you. Terrorists are here to rape you. Terrorists are here to cut your heads off. And if I need to explain this to people in America, the left, I'll do it in Crown for them too. There's nothing oppressive about Israel defending herself. There's nothing bad about Israel taking out these monsters. These are some of the monsters that planned the October the 7th, 2023 massacre of thousands of Jews, injured, missing, babies burned in ovens, women raped mercilessly, men raped mercilessly, families slaughtered in front of each other, kids slaughtered in front of their parents, kidnapped. These babies that were brought back in coffins, these were the men that were responsible for it. So spare me your liberal woke bullshit and tell me that this is Israel being the aggressor in Gaza. They're not. It's called self-defense. And if I need to explain that in Crown tonight, I'll be more than happy to do it for you prophets and for you teachers and you Bible people out there that claim that Israel has no role in the earth. I'll be more than happy to do that because you've got religious voices basically saying Israel's the bad guy out there. So let me make it abundantly clear. I don't have my Israel map here with me tonight. I need to get one here. But I will tell you this. I'll say it again, folks. I'll say it again. You don't have to question where we stand on this. Because I will tell you right now, I'm not worshiping the state. I'm not worshiping the government of Israel. I'm not even worshiping Benjamin Netanyahu. But for several reasons. But more importantly, just for moral decency and moral clarity reasons. To see who's the aggressor and who's the butchers in this. I just showed you a picture of 5 butchers. They planned this murderous rampage by Hamas. So if you don't see any tears flowing out of my eyes, do I care about their soul? Of course I care about their soul. You live by the sword, you die by the sword. They chose to live by the sword. And the IDF did not execute the sword in vain. You can read that verse, by the way, you Bible folks that don't believe that Israel has a right to do this in Romans 13:1. 13:1. He that executes the sword does not do it in vain. Because the law is for the lawbreaker. But in this case, when you're terrorists and you're terrorizing and you're murdering and you're raping and you're cutting heads off and burning babies in ovens, I'm just an old South Georgia boy. I would tend to believe that that sort of puts you on a category that you need to die. You need to die. Now, let me move on. Good for the IDF. They've stopped the ceasefire. Hamas has been screwing around with these hostages. They were told by Trump. They were warned by Israel. They've been warned for weeks. Bring these hostages back or all hell is about to be unleashed upon Gaza. They have started unleashing hell. They said it today. We're not going to stop till we eradicate Hamas. Now, what goes on beyond that is another discussion politically and another discussion about the Middle East in general. But as of right now, if I was a Hamas member, I'd be sleeping with one eye open and I would be learning that song. Dun, 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 dun. Hey, 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 goodbye. A bomb, 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 bomb. A bomb, 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 bomb. Hey, 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 goodbye. You brought it on yourself. You brought it on yourself. Finally. Way to go, Israel. See ya. See ya. I know that some of you don't like that, and that's all right. It's more than okay. By the way, this article here, we're going to talk about this tomorrow on the radio show. American Aid has subsidized this. By the way, we talked about something last night. $2.5 billion was turned over to these terrorists in Syria that's slaughtering these Christians by the EU this week. The UN gave them another 5 to 6 billion. The EU turned around and said, that's not enough. We'll give them another 2.5 to do exactly what Hamas is doing to the Jews, the Syrian Islamic jihadists are doing to the Christians and the Alawites in Syria. It's not good enough for us to stop it. It's not good enough for the UN to say, hey, this is immoral, this is illegal, this is criminal, this is butchery, this is barbarianism, this is debauchery. No, we got to pay for it. And the USAID, the same USAID that this rogue judge tonight says it's unconstitutional to dismantle, has been financing terror in this world and against Israel. I'm going to read a little bit of the article. We've got it on the Telegram room tonight. The world should shudder to discover that America's foreign aid, long intended to uplift those in need, has instead nourished extremists who despise the United States. This is written by Greg Roman. On February the 26th, I appeared before the House Oversight Subcommittee on delivering on government efficiency, DOGE, to expose evidence of these betrayals. Far from a mere policy dispute, the misuse of U.S. assistance he documented underscores the magnitude and negligence of these situations. During the hearing, which featured pointed exchanges between subcommittee chairwoman Marjorie Taylor Greene and ranking member Melanie Stansberry, it became clear that certain federal programs, especially those under the U.S. Agency for International Development, USAID, have strayed far from their original mission. No kidding. Witnesses, including policy analysts, a journalist, and former federal officials, we're going to talk about this with Brad Johnson Thursday night. Stansberry lamented what she called carnage, gutting, and global realignment allegedly forced by the new administration's approach to foreign assistance. She's more concerned about her little honeypot than she is the money going to terrorism. Nevertheless, as the hearing progressed, a common thread emerged from multiple testimonies that federal foreign aid has funded extreme terrorism-aligned groups overseas, many of them often at odds with America's interests. But folks, it's people that want to see the U.S. destroyed. Greene underscored this fact, and that she would consider criminal referrals if it emerged that U.S. aid had directly abetted terrorist attacks on Americans, declaring that if U.S. aid funded terrorism that resulted in the death of Americans, and the committee will be making criminal referrals. Let me give you the shorter version of that without reading that article. Folks, the money that supposedly was going to go overseas to the Gaza people wound up in the hands of Hamas. Newsflash. Americans were killed on October the 7th. So Marjorie, if you're listening to me, my fellow Georgian, burn it down. Burn it down. File criminal charges. Find him. Find out who did it. Put him in jail. Prison. Federal prison. Hang him. Treasonous. And to this piece of you-know-what judge tonight, you got blood on your hands. You got blood on your hands. If this money, if you stop them dismantling this department, and this money winds back up in the hands of terrorists who kill people and kill American citizens, you, sir, have got blood on your hands. But you leftists and you extreme judges don't give a you-know-what about that, do you? No, you don't. You don't. We're going to follow this story. That's interesting story. The article's long. I don't have time to read it all tonight. I encourage you to read it. It's on our Telegram room. And it's an extremely well-written article. It's in the World Israeli News, and we will leave it at that. This is the lady, we talked about the auto pen controversy a little bit last night. Biden's White House staff secretary lashes out at Trump for declaring Biden's auto pen pardons void. This is the one that they believe was doing the auto pinning, and we'll have to see about that. And there, we mentioned last night there was somebody that one of the people that was concerned about one of the people in Biden's White House. They said it was very scared. The whistleblower believes that this was the lady that they were all scared of, that she was sort of behind the scenes. Neera Tanden is her name. The Oversight Project has named her. There she is right there. President Trump chimed into this yesterday. I don't want to get into that. But interesting stuff. We're going to follow it, follow that out, and so forth. All right, I'm going to come over here now. That is our news wire for the night. And we're going to take your questions. We're in good shape. It's not but 9:30. That means it's 6:30 in the west, 7:30 in the mountains, 8:30 in the central time zone. Chris has figured this out. And 9:30 in the east. Ain't nothing on. except Hannity, and nobody, you know, I like Sean, but this is better. So hang in here with me. We got a few videos to play for you. I want to, before I, you know, I almost forgot the most important thing, and I should have started off with this. That's my son right there. Happy birthday today to Mr. Brandon McDonald, who does not watch his daddy's show, but I'm afraid, I think he's afraid to. Brandon's probably afraid to see what his daddy says every night on his show. Because he probably would disown my father. He's a father, but he's a good kid. No, he wouldn't disown me. I would never disown him. Turns 32 today. I've got back to back to back. Got a youngest son, my oldest grandson, and my middle son. 3 days apart. March 12th, March 15th, March 18th. And I do not know how that happened. That's just the way the Lord intended it to be. The 12th, the 15th, and the 18th. Happy birthday, Brandon McDonald. And those grandbabies, I love them. They're my heart. All righty. Now, before I get to some good stuff, I want to talk about something tonight. By the way, here's Chucky Schumer. I mentioned him a while ago. You got to listen to this nonsense. This is today on The View. Go figure. Roll tape.
And you know what their attitude is? I make my money all by myself. How dare your government take my money from me? I don't want to pay taxes. Or, I built my company with my bare hands. How dare your government tell me how I should treat my customers, the land and water that I own, or my employees. They hate government. Government's a barrier to people, a barrier to stop them from doing things. They want to destroy it. We are not letting them do it, and we're united.
Okay, good.
There is now a member of the European Parliament from France who does not think the U.S. represents the values of the Statue of Liberty
Sorry about
anymore.
that.
They want the Statue of Liberty back. So is President Trump going to send the Statue of Liberty back to France?
Absolutely not. And my advice to that unnamed low-level French politician would be to remind them that it's only because of the United States of America that the French are not speaking German right now. So they should be very grateful to our great country.
Way to go, Caroline. You French got a lot of gall. Got a lot of gall. But that's the French. No, we've not talked about JFK yet. We will talk about JFK before the night's out. Just hold your horses. We're going to talk about JFK. Here is Stephen Miller schooling CNN on civics today again. Roll the tape.
So you called the judge's order just earlier today, quote, patently unlawful, end quote, and said that it was an assault on democracy itself. Does that mean that the administration is ignoring this order, and might you ignore future court orders that meet the criteria you laid out?
The President of the United States and his administration reserve all rights under the Constitution to conduct national security operations in defense of the United States. The Alien Enemies Act, which was passed into law by the founding generation of this country, men like John Adams, was written explicitly to give the President the authority to repel an alien invasion of the United States. That is not something that a district court judge has any authority whatsoever to interfere with, to enjoin, to restrict, or to restrain any way. You can read the law yourself. There's not one clause in that law that makes it subject to judicial review, let alone district court review.
So, Stephen, when you say that this person has no authority at all, this is how our system works. It starts with these judges and then continues up. At what point does it become, in your view, legal for the justice system to be looking at this and making a judgment? And I don't see how there's any other way But to start
they've got no authority to do it.
Before you get to eventually the Supreme Court.
Ridiculous.
Well, so first of all, there's a term in law, justiciable. This is not justiciable. In other words, this is not subject to judicial remedy. When the president is exercising his Article 2 powers to defend the country against an invasion or to repel a foreign terrorist that is unlawfully in the country, he's exercising his core Article 2 powers as commander-in-chief.
Is Venezuela invading the U.S.?
This is a very important point. This is a Title 50 authority. It's a commander-in-chief authority. So just to ask you a simple question, you talk about how the system works. Does a district court judge have the right to direct or enjoin troop movements overseas? Yes or no?
Well, Stephen, my question... If you could answer my question first.
In other words,
is Venezuela invading our country?
Yes, they are. Yes, they are.
So I'll answer yours and you'll answer mine. Under the terms of the statute, Tren de Aragua is an alien enemy force that has come here as detailed at length in the proclamation at the direction of the Venezuelan government. The statute says that a president has the ability to repel an invasion or predatory incursion that is directed by a foreign
state or a government, right?
It is being directed by a state or government. I'm going to stop the tape right there. It's a 7-minute tape. I don't want to play all of it. Got a question for you. First question of the night. How many of you believe that this, the illegal immigration, the illegal aliens that have come flooding over this border since 2020 is an invasion? And who out there believes, thumbs up in the house if you believe this, how many of you consider what's been going on for the last 4 years, an invasion into our country, perpetrated? Stephen Miller told her, these people are being sent up here by the Venezuelan government. Do you think Venezuela wants these people back? No. Maduro's out there. You know what Maduro is saying? I had the its own Gateway Pundit, it's in our Telegram room. He's telling the world that Trump is acting like Hitler and comparing sending these terrorist killers back as if this is equitable as the Jews in the Holocaust. This sicko, this dictator, that's, by the way, same Venezuela, they were eating dogs, by the way, here, thanks to his leadership here just a year or two ago. But, yeah, I'll ask you a question. Do you not think it's an invasion? I do. It may not be an army of people with guns. Let's just be frank with you. Many of these people coming over the border are bringing guns. They're bringing weapons. They're bringing their stuff. These cartels are brutal. They need to be hunted down, every single one of them, like dogs. They do. And they need to be put in prison. And if they've been known to commit crimes, they need to be deported immediately. And if they've committed crimes against an American citizen, they need to be dealt with harshly to the extreme, fullest extent of the law. We do not pass go in this country. We do not collect $200 when we break the law. There ain't a one of you that can go to another country tonight and do this blank somewhere else and get away with it. And I challenge you to find a country that you can. I challenge you. You can't. You can't. He was right. He was absolutely right. Conor McGregor agreed with him. Here's Conor McGregor today. He's an Irish guy. He's an MMA fighter. He was in the White House yesterday. He agrees with Stephen Miller.
What is going on in Ireland is a travesty. Our government is the government of zero action with zero accountability. You know, our money is being spent on overseas issues that has nothing to do with the Irish people. The illegal immigration racket is running ravage on the country. There are rural towns in Ireland that have been overrun in one swoop, that have become a minority in one swoop. So issues need to be addressed, and the 40 million Irish Americans, as I said, need to hear this, because if not, there will be no place to come home and visit.
What he's telling the Irish, because they are allowing illegals, and by the way, folks, please, I've told you before, we're going to get to the JFK files. You don't have to keep asking in the chat. I love you guys. I'm not being snarky and fussy tonight. We will get to the JFK. No, I've not read the files. We've looked at some of them. We're going to read a Breitbart story here in a minute. We're going to talk about them at the end. And we're going to let you chime in. So but I've got other things I want to talk about tonight. No, it's just not about JFK. It's amazing how our country is being overrun by terrorism, and the world's about to go up in smoke, and all people care about are files that are 50, 60, 70 years old almost. For goodness sake. Please, just let me finish this. I'm not trying to be snarky. I got the cowboy hat on. I'm being nice tonight. I'm being Chris. I'm not being the bear. I'm being Smokey the bear. I'm not being Chris the mean bear. But this is important. This is important. Conor McGregor is telling the Irish government tonight, if you keep doing what you're doing, because he lives here in America, he's from Ireland. He said, when we come back to Ireland, we're not going to have a country. And folks, if we don't continue to do what President Trump's doing and get these illegals out of here, you ain't going to have a country. And I might as well be my first medal of the night and can I be just a little tiny snarky tonight? If we keep this mess up that we're doing in this country, them JFK files ain't going to mean a damn thing. It ain't going to matter what's in those files. People are more concerned about something that happened in 1962 than they are about what's happening in 2025. That's the state of affairs of this country. And that's the depth of people's concern tonight. And again, I'm not saying it's not important, because who knows what was in those files. But ultimately what's going to accomplish? The people that are probably responsible for all that is dead. Most of them are probably already dead. What's you going to do? Dig them out of the grave and say, hey, we're going to try you for whatever. This is real-time stuff. Now, I know some of you getting a little fidgety about that, and you saying, well, Chris, that's just being mean. No, it ain't being mean. Because we're living in 2025. We ain't living in 1962. And this is what's the state of affairs in our country. McGregor's right. But see, what he don't realize is he's warning America too. He's warning America too. That we're not going to have a country if this stuff keeps on. Stephen Miller was right. Here's Marco Rubio. If I was a little terse there, I apologize. I apologize. Here's Marco Rubio. He has something to say about this. Roll the tape.
You should watch the news. These guys take over entire buildings.
We
they
covered
vandalize
it
colleges.
intensely.
They shut down
I'm
colleges.
asking about the specific justification
is,
for the revocation of his visa. Was there any evidence or material support for terrorism?
Was the negotiator negotiating on behalf of people that took over a campus, that vandalized buildings? Negotiating over what? That's a crime in and of itself, that they're involved in being the negotiator, the spokesperson, this, that, the other. We don't want it. We don't need these people in our country. We never should have allowed them in the first place. If he had told us, I'm going over there, and I'm going over there to become the spokesperson and one of the leaders of a movement that's going to turn one of your allegedly elite colleges upside down. People can't even go to school. Library buildings being vandalized. We never would have let him in. We never would have let him in to begin with. And now that he's doing it and he's here, he's going to leave, and so are others, and we're going to keep doing it. And by the way, I find it ironic that a lot of these people out there defending the First Amendment speech, alleged free speech rights of these Hamas sympathizers, they had no problem, pressuring social media to censor American political speech. Come on, Marco! So I think it's ironic and hypocritical, but the bottom line is this. If you are in this country to promote Hamas, to promote terrorist organizations, to participate in vandalism, to participate in acts of rebellion and riots on campus, we never would have let you in if we had known that.
And the thing is, you don't know it. That's why you don't allow illegals in your country. And by the way, this Khalil, he's wanting to sue the government for his infringing on his First Amendment rights. I'm going to say it again tonight, folks. If you're here illegally, you ain't got no rights. I'm sorry, you're not. Our Constitution don't protect you if you're not an American citizen. It don't protect you. It protects citizens. It protects people that are American citizens. You come in here illegally, you break our laws, you murder our people, you rape our women, you kill kids, you pedophile kids, you traffic kids. No, you ain't got a right to be here. You promote Hamas that butchers babies, incite terrorism on campuses. No. I hate to tell you, you don't pass go and you don't collect $200. Roll the tape.
This is not about what Mr. Mahmoud Khalil is saying. It is about what he is actually doing. So we need to understand that he was a part of an organization called CUAD, on Columbia campus, which is an organization, a coalition of hate groups. And together, what they did was horrific. They led an insurrection, a violent takeover of Columbia University. Look, they occupied buildings. They held staff hostage. They threatened students, Jewish and non-Jewish students. They called in bomb threats. They found weapons in these encampments. These encampments are horrific. I am an immigrant to this country. I came into this incredible place, and I cannot imagine if I would have been here on student visa or a green card and would have come to my campus and said, I want to lead an insurrection. I want to lead a violent takeover. Absolutely not. It's not about words. It's about actions.
Yeah, Marco Rubio, he had a great interview on one of the Sunday shows yesterday.
Yep.
And he was asked about this, and he said, you know, when you have a green card, you're here in our country as a guest.
As a guest.
You lied to us when you came into our country. If we had known that you were a Hamas sympathizer, we would never have let you in. Did you see that interview, and what were your thoughts?
Absolutely. I thought it was incredible. Look, getting a visa, to be in this country, it's a privilege. It is not a right. I came to this country, I had to answer those exact questions.
It is a privilege, not a right. You understand that, illegals? Do you understand that, left? Do you understand that, Dems? You know why you got a 21% approval rating? Because you support this crap. You know how the media, that people trust the plague more than they trust the media. They trust Bill Cosby at a cocktail party more than they trust you. Do you know that they trust Gavin Newsom with the fire plug in California more than they trust you, media? Because you support this crap. You support this crap and you lie about it. You lie about it. You lie about it. She's right. There's about 50 more seconds of this. Roll the tape.
Well, we need to understand that CUAD, this coalition of hate groups, what they say in their writings, in their actual writings, that they call to bring the war home. They're calling to eradicate Western civilization as we know it and American imperialism. These are not good people. And you know who else knows this? The American people know this because 71% of Americans, all Americans, not just Republicans, but everybody, say that they do not support these encampments. So people intuitively know that these are not peaceful protests. Yes. Nobody should turn these people into some folk heroes. They're bad people. Bad for the country. None of this would have happened had Columbia done its job. None of this would have happened if American campuses would have done their job.
Thank you.
Which is exactly why I'm actually leading a college campus tour, because education is number one. So I'm bringing former hostage and former survivors from Nova to visit American college campuses.
The kids won't listen, but that's all right. Watch what I tell you. She'll do that, and the administrators of these colleges will probably stop it. So good luck on that, but she's right on. Colleges are not doing their jobs, folks. Look, you do this stuff, you do this crap. I don't know who you kids, I don't care who you punks think you are. It's a privilege to be over here in this country. I'm a little fired up about this. I am fired up. And I see all these judges trying to stop Trump doing this and trying to stop him from deporting. They're in the air in the plane. And the judge is telling Trump yesterday, oh, you got to turn the plane around and bring them people back. Are you joking me? That's the kind of country. And I don't mean to be mean tonight. That's more serious a threat to our country than anything in them JFK files. You understand that tonight? I know some of you don't want to hear that because some of you are ready to pounce on any flesh that you can find in those files. And folks, I don't even know what's in those files yet. They just got released this evening. We know a little bit of something. I got Colin Rigg. I got a tweet I'll show you here in a minute. But, and I'm not trying to demean or underscore the JFK stuff. But what I'm telling you, this is more important to the security and the national security of your children and your grandchildren and my grandchildren. People are getting swatted tonight, folks, because they're talking out about this. People are having police and SWAT teams show up at their house because they're screaming to their lungs about this. That's more important. That's more important. Chris Amen himself for the first time tonight. All righty. Let me get one more thing, and then I'm going to get to what you want me to get to. I promise. And we're going to take your questions. We mentioned Juanita there. This is, if you don't believe that CARE wants to destroy America.
The image of Islam has been under attack for generations. It has led to Islamophobia, not only in the
This is the leader of CARE telling you that the threat to America is Islamophobia. In other words, people that are telling you that these jihadists are evil and they're wanting to cut your heads off and your kids' heads off and your grandkids' heads off, we are the problem. They want to Islamify America, folks. Don't make any mistake. This was recent. Roll the tape.
of people, but in policies of our government at home and abroad. And American Muslims have to step in and change that relationship. But we cannot do it only by being in the streets. We have to be in the halls of Congress. We have to be in the newsrooms. We have to be in the classrooms. We have to be in the books. And we have to be in the courts and in the courts of public opinion. To do that, we have to be organized and we have to be good planners, because this is really the essence of our faith. So here's the homework. We have 4,000 mosques nationwide. I urge every mosque, and take this message to your board of directors of the mosques and your imams. Every mosque should have a special fund for scholarship. 5 scholarships every year. 1 scholarship for journalism, another one for filmmaking, a 3rd one for law, a 4th one for political science, a 5th one for history and humanities. If we start in 2025, 4 years from now, we are going to have how many? 4,000 new attorneys for the Muslim community, 4,000 new filmmakers, 4,000 journalists, 4,000 students of political science, and 4,000 potential teachers of history. In 15 years from now, if we are persistent, we will end up with 50,000 more attorneys for the Muslim community, 50,000 journalists, 50,000 filmmakers, 50,000 political commentators, and 50,000 teachers of history and humanity. And therefore, we can tell our story about Islam.
Yeah, that is their goal, folks. That is their goal. That is their goal. I didn't say that. Chris didn't make that up. I let the horse give it right out of his mouth. That is what they're going to try to do. And you know, the one thing he did not say that's already happening, and that's another goal, and they're already accomplishing it just a little bit, is Congress. You've got people sitting in Congress that are making decisions for this country that hate this country. They are literally passing laws and legislation and standing in the gap of legislative laws that want to destroy America. Tonight, 2025. All right. Now, the clock is a-ticking. I really wanted to talk about the tri-state tornado, the 100-year anniversary. We may get to that. But I promised you to talk about the JFK files. And we're going to go now to our newswire again. The screen's going to go black just for a second. As promised tonight, by the way, before I forget it, thank God for Elon Musk and President Trump. We got a video. The astronauts are home. They landed in the Gulf of America today, which maybe may not get to all that tonight. We'll talk about it Thursday night. But wonderful. That was the other story that was big today, and we're grateful they're home. They should have never been that long up there, but that's another discussion. But Trump released the files, as promised. Tulsi Gabbard praises the new era of maximum transparency. DNI Tulsi Gabbard praised President Trump tonight. This is about later, I don't know, this is after this evening. Praised President Trump after files relating to the assassination of former President John F. Kennedy were released. And there's her quote today, and there's some of the documents. The release comes after a day that Trump announced really 80,000 files would be released on Tuesday. by Gabbard, adding that people have been waiting for decades for this, and we have to a degree. Kennedy was shot and killed as he was riding in the motorcade through Dallas, Texas on November the 22nd, 1963. In January, Trump signed an executive order declassifying records relating to the assassinations of Kennedy, his brother Robert F. Kennedy, that's the father of R.F. Kennedy Jr., and Martin Luther King Jr. During his presidential campaign, Trump vowed to create a commission regarding presidential assassinations, and that commission would be a tribute to Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the nephew of JFK and the son of Robert F. Kennedy. As Breitbart reported, Kennedy's father, R.F. Kennedy, was shot on June the 5th of 1968 after winning the Democratic primary in California. He died the next day. Now, the only thing that I have seen tonight that, and again, I'm just going to be frank with you, I've not been out there reading the files. And I'm going to depend on folks like Colin Rigg to read them because I've got more important things to talk about. But there is one interesting little nugget that he picked up. This was just earlier tonight. Newly released JFK files tell a story about a man named Gary Underhill who worked for the CIA, was found dead after he revealed to friends that the CIA was responsible for JFK's assassination. The day after the assassination, Underhill left Washington in a hurry. Late in the evening, he showed up at the house of his friends in New Jersey. He was very agitated. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided, and he was afraid for his life and probably would have to leave the country. Less than 6 months later, he was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. The coroner ruled it a suicide. That's on those documents. Now, I know I got to throw my 2 cents into this. I'm going to take your questions. We lived through the QAnon stuff. And I dare say that we're about to live through the JFK stuff. Again, there have been rumors and rumors and rumors and rumors that have never been proven throughout history, and people think they know everything, and they think they know what happened. And again, it happened before I was even born. I was born in 1965, so this happened 2 years before I was born. I just caution you folks, I'm just saying this as a friend, I'm just saying this heart to heart. Ultimately, I don't think these files are going to show us anything that we didn't already know. I may be wrong. I don't see any bombshell coming from them. And even if it's proven the CIA, everybody's always felt the CIA was involved. I think most people believe there was more than one shooter. Most people believe that Lyndon Johnson may have even been working behind the scenes to have Kennedy whacked. We don't know. I mean, I've heard every story under the sun. I gotta say it. I gotta say it. This stuff got so crazy during the Q years that there were rumors that JFK's son, JFK Jr., was going to rise from the dead or was risen from the dead, that he didn't die in that plane crash in 2000 or 99, whenever it was. He was going to pop back on the stage in 2020 and save the country from the great Democrat evil and walk on stage with Trump and hold his hand up in victory. I'm going to tell you, folks, there were religious voices in 23 claiming that JFK Jr. was going to show up in 24 and help Trump win re-election. So if you want to believe that nonsense, you go right ahead. You go right ahead. Believe it. Waste your time on it. And again, there are more important things to me that are affecting our country tonight than these files. Now, are there things that's going to be riveting like Colin Rugg just pulled out of there? Absolutely. Mr. Underhill, I was not even born. I don't know the guy's name. I've never heard the story. I've talked to Brad Johnson about this. We may even question Brad about it Thursday night and see what his take is. Brad's a former CIA operative. He was a field man. He wasn't like James Akers. James Akers was an analyst. Brad was in the field for nearly 30 years. And I'm going to let him chime in on this and see what he says. Now, I know some of you, that just turns you off and that turns your buttons off and you say, well, I knew Chris was a kook. Well, Chris is a kook. Chris just tries to talk about things in common sense terms, folks. I just try to look at this in common sense. That's why we've been here 7.5 years. We've had people get mad at us to leave before, and there will be people that leave and get mad at us again. It's okay. I'm not trying to throw water on your JFK party. I'm not trying to throw water on your popcorn eating. Let's spend hours and hours reading 80,000 documents and find out stuff that we probably just by common sense would probably deduct that happened anyway. I say it again tonight, folks. We're not living on November the 22nd, 1963. We're living on at March the 18th, 2025. You realize tonight that tonight's the 100th year anniversary of the tornado that hit southern Illinois, southern Missouri, and Indiana in 1925. This day, March 18th, 695 people died in that tornado. Now, of course, that was long before Kennedy. We had almost 50 people die this weekend from terrible, terrible storms. Those people went off into eternity. Do you think anybody in the regions of eternity really give 2 bit pins less what was in those files tonight? Do you think they care? I can answer that question for you in 2 seconds. No, they don't. No, they don't. These families that lost loved ones, no, they don't. We've got more important things to concern ourselves with. Now, that's my take on it. That don't have to be your take. But I'm just trying to tell you. And if we find out something, we'll be the first to let you know about it. Here is a little 3-minute clip. This is the summary. I want to come over here to my, hang on just a second. I'm going to play it over here on the screen where you can see it. This is the summary of what happened 100 years ago today to give you a little idea what I was talking about, and then we're going to take your questions. Roll the tape.
The deadliest tornado in U.S. history happened a century ago on March 18, 1925. It's known as the Tri-State Tornado because it moved through 3 states. It was the first of 7 tornadoes recorded that day, from afternoon into evening, in an area from Missouri to Indiana to northern Alabama. All of the twisters were spawned from a low-pressure system moving from Arkansas to Indiana. The Tri-State Tornado was the longest-lasting and deadliest of the tornadoes. It started in Ripley County, Missouri, around 1 in the afternoon, moved to the northeast, crossing the Mississippi River into Illinois on what is believed to be a continuous track of 219 miles before ending at 4:30 p.m. in Pike County, Indiana. The twister moved several times faster than a typical tornado, with an average forward speed of 60 miles per hour, at times reaching motion over 70 miles per hour. Hardest hit communities were Murfreesboro, Illinois, where 234 people perished, followed by West Frankfort, Illinois, where 148 were killed. Given that there were no weather predictions for tornadoes at that time, and that survivors reported seeing a dark cloud but no funnel approaching, people were unaware of the threat. There were reports of hail and thunder just ahead of the tornado, followed by a roar like a train, but by then, it would have been too late to find shelter, especially since few buildings had basements in that area. Nearly 700 people were killed by the Tri-State Tornado, and more than 2,000 were injured. Destruction of property had a cost of $16.5 million, which would be about $300 million a century later.
2.6 billion tonight. With a lack of
technology and limited data, the exact details of the tornado are unknown. From the damage amount and path, it appears to have ranged in size from 1/4 mile to 1 mile wide, with the strength of an EF5 twister. 15,000 homes and buildings were destroyed. The Tri-State Tornado of 1925 is believed to be the longest-lasting single tornado at 3.5 hours and longest-track single tornado at 219 miles, producing the largest loss of life, around 700 people, in the United States. It is also one of the fastest-moving tornadoes recorded, I'm meteorologist Alan Seals.
And that was a short summary of the deadliest day of weather that this country has ever seen. One storm, 695 people dead, confirmed. They thought at that time thousands were dead. 100 years ago tonight, 100 years ago today, it happened in this country. I'm already seeing the comments, and I'm sort of snickering at some of them, but that's all right. I mean, I'm not doing it disrespectfully. And folks, I'm going to say it again. And Curtis or Mr. Kemp, your question that Trump disagrees with me, I don't think Trump disagrees with me. I think Trump's releasing them for reasons that is beyond him. But I'm just talking to you. I don't care what President Trump does with the files. He can release them, and he's promised to release them. It's not about whether these files are, as I said, I've just already said to you, if there's stuff in them that needs to be put out there for the public to see, then so be it. I'm talking to folks tonight that I'm trying to keep off the ledge, because I can guarantee this, Mr. Kemp, there's going to be people out there this week that are going to take these files, and I'm going to tell you some of the most craziest conspiracy stuff is going to come out. Some of these crazy theories. Look, if we've not seen what the Q movement can do to a country, and the Q movement can do to a church, and the Q movement can do to the Republican Party, and the Q movement can do to the American public, I can only imagine what this is about to do. Now, that's my take on it. It don't have to be yours. And some of you say, well, it's a big day in history. It was a big day in history. It was a big day in history. It's part of our history. It's 50 years old, folks. We can't go back and relive it. No more than we can go back and relive yesterday. Now, we can keep looking back and trying to figure out what happened 50 years ago, or we can deal with what we got going on tonight. I'm more concerned about what's going on tonight. I'm more concerned about our nation in 2025. I'm more worried about that family and that dear mother up in Deerfield Middle School, at Deerfield Middle School District tonight, that has to basically sue a school board for allowing her daughter, forcing her daughter to undress in front of a boy. That's got my mind more concerned tonight of where our nation's at and what happened in JFK's situation. Not that it's not important. I've never said it wasn't important. I'm talking about our focus. It's 80,000 files. And if you want to read them, knock yourself out. Knock yourself out. We will follow this story. I'm not ignoring this story. I'm not denigrating the story. I'm just telling you, I've seen what this stuff can do to people. And I promise you, I guarantee it, I've just got a feeling tonight, when I heard the news, and I knew it was coming. Hold your seats, because here it comes. And if you don't believe me, just sit back and watch. And then you can make your call. All right? Now, if you got a question tonight, I've got a lot more stuff, but I'm going to give you a chance to chime in, because we're at 10:10 in the east, 9:10 in the west. It's important to learn from history, Sharp, but it's also important to move on from history. It's important to move on. It's important to move on. And again, a lot of these people that were involved in this, if not most of them, are already dead anyway. Most of the people that were involved in this. I just told you that what most people already know. I've got a feeling that most of this that we're going to find out is stuff that people pretty much already had surmised and was out there. I mean, there's, for 62 to 2025, that's 63 years ago. That's 63 years ago, or 62 years ago from when this happened. I'm 60 years old. I mean, it was 2 years before I was born. And I think there was a big movie out back in the 1990s with Costner and a few other big actors, JFK, and it's an excellent movie. And, you know, the whole movie of JFK was this Jim, I can't think of the lawyer's name down in New Orleans. He brought cases. He tried to get to the bottom of the JFK thing, and it just didn't go nowhere. And he sued the government to try to do this very thing Trump's doing tonight. I'm not demeaning the fact. I'm proud of the fact that President Trump is letting it all hang out. That part I'm okay with. That part I'm saying go for it. Throw it on the table. If you all out there, I love you. If you want to invest your time in this, again, Chris ain't going to feel hard at you. I'm just telling you, Chris ain't going to invest his time worrying about it. It's a part of our history, but we can't change it. We can't go back and bring JFK back from the grave, even though some of the Q people thought JFK Jr. was alive. I'm just saying. Just saying. Just saying. Bullshit. 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 And that's how crazy some of this stuff gets. Some of this stuff gets. So, anyway. Alrighty. And Curtis, President Trump may disagree with me, but I don't think it's a disagreement. See, I'm getting Jim Garrison. Thank you, Tim. Jim Garrison. Tim Garrison. Jim Garrison. That was the lawyer. Thank you. Good to see you, Tim. All right. If you got a question tonight, and I'm not going to bite your head off, just go at it. What you got? What you got to say tonight? We'll give you a few minutes. While you're doing that, I'll give you some feel-good stuff to sort of soothe the whatever. This is a beautiful post today. This was by my dear friend Dana out in California. She is a dear supporter of the show, a dear friend of mine. She posted this. I love this. She says, when you have a friend that's going through a storm, don't become a broadcaster, as many people do. Go get an umbrella. Cover them with love. Isn't that beautiful? I like that. I like that. We've got too many broadcasters out there. Too many. By the way, this is to you liberals out there that call everybody Hitler. It's amazing. Hitler is their new term. We got something to say about that. Trump never censored free speech. You did. Trump never used the media to silence his political opposition. You liberals did that. Trump never threatened to take people's guns. You liberals did that. That's what Hitler did. Trump never threatened to put people who disagreed with him in re-education camps. You did. You might want to take a good look in the mirror before you start pointing fingers and calling Trump Hitler like you all do. That's about, if they didn't have the word Hitler and racist and fascist and dictator and tyrant, they wouldn't have words in their vocabulary. They wouldn't have words in their vocabulary. All right, you got a question? Lane, I agree. Most of it in the JFK files, I have redactions, and again, it's fine if it does. I mean, again, there's going to be Epstein, and people are upset with Pam Bondi because the Epstein files are probably going to have redactions in it. And folks, at some point we got to move on. At some point we've got to move on in this country. We just do. And it just seems like we don't want to. It just seems like we are just hell bent on rehashing stuff that we can't change. And it's just people in general, and I mean, I'm not saying that in a fussy, snarky way tonight. I'm just, at some point, we got to look ahead. We got to look ahead. And I go back to, not to make it over simplistic and over spiritual tonight. Folks, there ain't a soul out there tonight that's left this earth, that's gone and died. If you was to bring them back tonight, whether they're in heaven or the place below called hell, and ask them a question, do you care about this? They don't care about this. We better be more concerned about eternal things. We better be more concerned about eternal things. You Bible students will hear that in the morning. We better be concerned about the eternal state of our souls and the eternal state of this country. And, if we see something in these files that can change the soul of the country, then okay, I'll be all for it. I doubt we're going to find it in these files. Because even though it was a day that did change our history, I would argue the Civil War changed our history. That was a war we fought each other. The day when Fort Sumner and they in the North and the South fired that first shot at Fort Sumter, South Carolina in 1861, and the country turned on itself and started destroying each other and killing itself. The Civil War started then. And 62 and almost 100 years later on that street in Dallas, the country was in a turmoil. And we get into the 70s and the country was in a turmoil. The riots at Kent State, the racial division that that erupted. Lyndon Johnson, these Democrats were as racist as could be, and they're the party of the KKK. The World War II was a time that changed history. Hitler, when the country at large, America at large, sat in silence about the Holocaust, we did very little to stand up for the Jewish people during that time. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was one of the biggest anti-Semites, him and Eleanor, that this world has ever seen. Harry Truman comes in and he says, I've had enough. He drops the Hiroshima and Nagasaki, the atomic bombs on those two cities. That changed America. That changed the course of history. The nuclear age began. We got into a Cold War with Russia. We've seen the open door to terrorism. 9/11 changed the day. I would argue 9/11 was a far more changing, life-changing day than JFK's death. Because that day unlocked the mask of Islam. It took the mask off of our real enemy within and without. And all these things, again, I'm not saying we forget it. I'm not saying that it's not important, but what I'm saying is it's time that we've got to start looking at what's going on tonight and look forward. That CARE video scares me a lot more than anything I think we're going to find in those JFK videos or JFK files. That's just Chris's 2 cents. That's just Chris's 2 cents. Let's see here really quick. Susan says, that's perfectly said about liberals who call Trump Hitler so true. All righty. Now that I've ticked all the JFKers off, I'm going to say goodnight to you. I love you guys. I appreciate you. I really do. Hope you had a good time. We had a good show tonight. Did you enjoy the show? We got a lot more to talk about this week. We will talk about it with Brad Johnson on Thursday night and Leslie Milwee. Let's see. Did I have another video I wanted to show? Please join me tomorrow. We'll be talking about some of this on the radio show tomorrow. I will remind you of this. No one looks back. This is for all the insomniacs out there and the late nighters and the night owls like me. No one looks back on their life and remembers the nights that they had plenty of sleep. And I will totally agree with that one. Let me tell you what else scares me tonight, folks. This is, what's the artist's name that does this? His name escapes me. Ben Garrison. I want to say it's Ben. No relation to Jim Garrison. He drew this picture many a year ago, and it came up on my phone tonight, and I downloaded it. You see that picture there? This is what I'm concerned about our country tonight, folks. This is what I'm concerned about. That's Jesus in Congress, and you see their fist. You see their fist at him. You see their fist. This country is basically kicking Jesus out. That's sort of what that picture symbolizes, how America has told Jesus to leave. That, too, should concern us tonight a heck of a lot more than anything we're going to see in those files. That's an eternal matter right there. That's an eternal matter. Just food for thought. Food for thought. Just food for thought. Chris Amen himself for the 5th time tonight. Tim, it is a great show. I thought we did a good show tonight. And we got a lot more coming this week. Thank God we got our technical stuff worked out. I'll see you guys in the morning. And then tomorrow's Faith Day. Wednesday is Faith Day. So Dory West will be with me tomorrow night at 6. Then we'll have our Faith Fellowship tomorrow night. And then Thursday, big show tonight. Big show coming Thursday night. Leslie Milwee late. Brad Johnson early. We're going to talk to Brad about JFK. See, I'm going to talk to Brad. I'm going to go to the CIA itself and say, tell me, what's going on with them JFK files? I can't wait to listen to Johnson talk about that one. That'll be fun. So, join us Thursday night. It's going to be a fun interview. But we got a lot more. Brad's doing better. His legs are doing better. I'm so glad that he's doing well. And I can't wait to get James Akers back on the show next week when he gets back from his little journey to Europe, somewhere over there. And he'll be back here next week. I'd like to get their take on this and so forth. All right. I hope you still love me. All you JFK folks. All you people that think JFK Jr. is alive, still walking the earth. I hope you love me. Okay? I just, Chris just tells it like it is. He's just Southern. It just tipped the cowboy hat. I'm not upset with you. I don't hold it against you if you believe all that stuff. It's okay. I've learned to chill. Chris has been doing this 7.5 years. If there's one thing the Lord has taught me to do in 7.5 years is don't take yourself seriously. Laugh, chill, breathe. Stop being an ogre to everybody in the chat room. And I've been a nice guy over the last few years. I've not been ugly to anybody. I've been sweet, Chris. I've been just as sweet as I can be. And I will continue to be. I just give you my opinion. You ain't got to agree with it. And I don't have to agree with yours. But we can love each other. We can shake each other's neck. And hug each other's hand, right? And give you the shake the head, hug the hand, let's all get along thing. I'll agree with that. All right. Let me get out of here. Hope you have a good night out there. See you in the morning on the Bible study. We will be ready to go tomorrow as a change. And see you back here tomorrow night on the Face Side. Thursday night. Don't miss it. We got 2 great shows coming in. Have a good night, everybody. Be blessed out there. Seriously, be blessed. We love you.